Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Going Bold Network. This is the Going Bold Wednesday. And if you all have been on our show before, we talk a lot about men issues, but I am the lady here on the broadcast. So tonight, we're going to bring on a brand new show. It's called Going Solo in My Faith. And it's something that it's been very dear to me, something I've been wanting to do for many years now. And I have my good friend, Chuck Bryant, is going to be helping me. So let's bring him forward because he is just the apple of my eye.
Did you say something about bald? No, you wouldn't have.
Did you get your hair cut?
Listen, I get my hair cut four times a year whether I need it or not. It was so bad the other day I got pulled over by the State Patrol. And if you've ever been through Georgia, you got to know about the Georgia State Patrol. They pulled me over and he said, son, you either go get a haircut, you're going to need dog tags. And I was afraid I was going to the pound.
Oh, I love you so. You are so funny. Well, let's tell everyone a little bit about you because you are a very special individual. You're one of our special guests tonight. You are the chairman and the CEO of WOTG Media Ministries, LLC, and you're also correct. The pastor of the WOTG radio. But not only that, you are also supporting others on your WOTG radio. You do also the KOTG radio and the KBAF radio. Say all of that real fast and let's see.
If you're listening to WOTG radio and KOTG radio and KBAF radio, those are my partners. WOTG belongs to me. Yeah. And actually it belongs to Jesus. All of this is the CEO himself. I'm not the CEO. I'm the person that God puts in charge of this. But anyway, WOTG originally started down in Clearwater, Florida, because you were with me. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you about the stations and everything else. Cece is the one that got me started doing this back in 2012.
Wow.
I was on her show. I was with two of my other friends, Mark O'Donnell and John Wilson, and we came to your studio up in Palm Harbor. And then later on, I was on your show, and we were down in somewhere in St. Pete. So I forget where that was. I think that was on Rhino Radio or something. And how this has grown. But anyway, I wanted to get into internet radio. That was my passion. And I worked with Cece. I also worked with one of my friends down there, Eric Rimmel from Life Improvement Radio. And this is how it started. God called me one time. Me and Donna are on our way to New Orleans. And God spoke to me and he says, you need to start learning how to do radio. And so I called Eric up. I said, hey, Eric, can I do a program on your show? And that's where it started. And we did a radio program dealing with technology. And then a later turn the technology show in the Cajun tech show, because got parts going to New Orleans. That's me. But anyway, we started that, and that started all the way back in 2013. And in 2014, we put WOTG radio on. And then coming the following year, I went out there and somebody asked me, said, why are you coming down here? You're a W radio. We are an internet radio station. What's called IP radio, not to get confused with your traditional radio station. We are an IP based radio station. And our sister here, she has one of those too, because I think it runs on our network. But anyway, we have taken this from WOTG, KOTG, KBAF, WORB, into where we have 12 radio stations all around the United States. We have probably about, I would say on an average month, we have about 15 to 1,600 listeners that goes everywhere. A year, it's probably about 100K. I mean, we've got a radio station called Branson. We've also got a TV station called Branson Gospel TV and radio. We just started getting into the TV part probably about 4 years ago. And matter of fact, before I ever left St. Pete, I was getting in touch with you to know what you were doing, if you remember.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we've been such good friends for so long, and give my best to Donna, his beautiful
I
wife.
will.
She's gorgeous. But the thing is like you came on my on my show, right? And we were talking about it, and I really knew nothing about the technology stuff, and you are just such an ace when it comes to things like that. And I remember saying to you, well, my divorce group said they would like to listen to something like in the middle of the night, and you go, we can do that. And
Yeah.
that's how our station, WGSN-DB, started. And it's by you. So, I mean, it's like we've been really helping each other out, I think, as we go. Or you always help me out, that I know. And those middle of the night, my station's down.
It's funny that everybody talks about how much I work in behind radio. And I was just the other night, I was working with a pastor, his radio station. It's not even on my network. And he was having issues. And I said, have you done this? Reboot the computer. And he's like, I've done that. And I'm like, okay, what software are you using? Because we use a program called Radio DJ. And that's the same one you're using, correct?
Mhm.
And
You set me up years ago. It's still the
yeah.
same way.
And so the thing about it is that you set it up, you can go live on your radio station, but now that we do so many other things, is that it's time consuming when you start doing this, and people don't realize that you're in charge of 12 radio stations. We have with WOTG, KOTG, KBAF radio, Chattanooga Gospel, Branson Gospel, See the Vision Radio, Bayou Gospel Radio, KBAF Radio, CCMA Radio, which is our contemporary radio stations like the Newsboys, Jars of Clay, and it's oldies. It's not the new stuff, and we mix it in. We've got a radio station called Country Gold, and it brings all of the latest old stuff that goes all the way back from the days of when Hank Williams, one of the greatest country music stars of all time, Hank Snow, Conway Twitty, some of these names. What have we done? We brought that in and we put a little twist and we put a little Christian country in there. So you'll be listening to Country Gold, and all of a sudden you may hear Chuck Day, or you may listen to Chuck Hancock, or you may listen to Heather Van Buren come in there and, sing one of their songs in there. And you're going, is this a country station or is this a country Christian station? So we made it that way to where we can touch the people are listening to it. And Cece, that is one of my highest rated radio programs because I got 800 people listening to it worldwide.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And then in 2018, I had one of our pastors, Pastor Gary Hill, that does a program on our station Monday through Thursday called Rejoice. And on Rejoice, Gary comes in there. Him and his wife come in and do a program where they come in and they play all the oldies, and they'll get it, and it's with a twist of faith. And so what we'll do is they'll be on there, and they may be playing the Big Bopper, or they may be playing the Beatles, or they may be playing something from that genre. And then all of a sudden, a person keys in and says, "I need prayer." They stop everything. Now you're looking at a pastor and a pastor's wife that's been with me about as long as I've been on radio. And so anyway, they'll stop and they'll pray. So Pastor Gary came back to me in 2018. I had left the great state of Florida after the biggest scare of my life. And I'm not telling you anything that you don't know because you were down there at the same time that we were dealing with Irma. And I worked at the hospital. That hurricane scared me to no end. And I was working at Northside Hospital in St. Petersburg. And I was outside on patrol. I just got done and I was in the eye of the storm. And the eye of that storm would probably go from the middle of the Gulf all the way out past I-75 in that area. And that was a pretty scary afternoon in September, was it not?
Yeah.
And so the power went out where we had the radio station. Out in that parking lot was the van sitting out there by itself in the parking lot where I had my studio in Clearwater. And I just said, I'm not doing this again. Donna had a really bad panic attack. So we moved to Georgia, where I'm originally from, and we're fixing to expand into Chattanooga in the next 6 months. And that's really going to be tearing all this down and moving it again. But anyway, so I had Pastor Hill call me up and said, "Hey, Chuck, let's do video instead of just doing audio." Because with the music that's on Facebook, people go on there and they're a DJ on Facebook and stuff, but they don't realize what they're doing because they're breaking the law because they're not paying royalties. And you go do Facebook Live and everything else. And, you really need to pay attention to what you're doing, because these artists out there are really just working their cans off, doing what they do. And we got people that'll go in and they'll go to YouTube, they'll rip the music off. They don't ask nobody about it. And then the next thing you know, I'm a DJ and I'm running a radio station. No, you're running a Facebook program. So we decided that we were going to start off with 2 channels, and we started off with WOTG East and WOTG West. And those are both IP based TV stations. And when I say IP, that's Internet Protocol TV. And anyway, you always got somebody binging you on Facebook when you don't want them to. But anyway, so we started out with those 2 stations. We started out with this company, and then we went to this company. And Cece, I just was not satisfied with the stuff that I was doing for God. I am a particular for doing God's work. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that knew me back in the day, I ran a computer company. I ran a computer company, and I did it for a long time. I think I was pretty good at it. But anyway, some people would tell you something different. But anyway, and so I took my expertise in that field and went into this field. And so I started doing the TV, the videos, and everything else. And now we're at 4 TV stations. That we got one in Branson, we got one in Cleveland, Tennessee, and that's the home of Church of God and Church of God Prophecy, I think. Don't quote me on that. But we're in the Bible Belt where we're at. And so we started 2 more TV stations, and we started one in Branson. And the one I started in Branson is one of the biggest TV stations we got. We got close to somewhere in the neighborhood of about 18 to 1900 viewers a month, and that's without advertising. And so we're in the process of now we're building again. We're always growing. We're always looking for new technology. And I come across this project this last weekend, which, as a matter of fact, it's running over here to the left of me. And we're going to go to a company that puts out software to all the big companies that use, and it costs about $3,000 per station. And in the month of May, if everything goes okay, we're going to be buying 5 of those licenses, which is about $14,000. Wow. And a server that's on, that's going to cost about $3,000 on one machine. And I'm like, and when the guy was telling me he was selling, I said, well, from what you showed me, you put a 5 gig video card in there, and then you upgrade it to about 12 gigs of RAM, or maybe 24 gigs of RAM, and you run that on the Night-Core 7. And he says, how did you know about computers? And I said, I used to run a computer company. So we started talking shop. And so we're going to be purchasing this. We're going to be moving our platforms over to this new system. And then we're looking for later on in this year, we're looking for a platform to where we have all of our Roku stations on one platform. And if y'all are looking for us, I'm talking. I hadn't even let you ask any questions.
No, that's okay. We're listening, because you know what? I honestly, God has just totally moved you. You know what I mean? And you've just gone, because you could have went your shows. You did do a tech show there for a while, and you could have just, because your knowledge of technology is tremendous, and your ability to learn and absorb as quick as the market is, you could have done that, and not done the gospel music, not done, the religious shows that you're doing, but you're moved in that direction. And so you follow it. Yeah.
See, the thing about a lot of people didn't realize about me is I'd stepped back in the religion and I was living, I was pretty much, you've been with me to parties. I've been to some of your parties. I was with John Wilson quite a lot. And, there was things that I was doing from 2010 up until about 2012, 2013. And my granddaughter had got CCAMS. And CCAMS is, if you wonder what CCAMS is where they can find the cancer cell in an infant before it's ever born. And if it hadn't have been for it hadn't have been for Texas and the University of Austin in the great city of Austin, Texas, my granddaughter probably would not be here. And to me, that meant the world to me. And the relationship my daughter was in at the time was not a very good one, but they were there. They were in Austin. And at 6 months old, I got down on my hands and knees and I prayed to God and I said, Lord, whatever it takes, heal my grandbaby, touch her. I reached out and I said, in the name of Jesus, touch her. You're the mighty physician. Touch her. Touch the doctors that's going to do the surgery. 3:00 one morning, God said, your prayer has been answered. Now, this is what we've got to do. And so that was in during the 2014, I was told to have a radio station ready to go on air December 31st. And you've heard this story. And I am battling at my wits on how I'm going to get an IP-based radio station on the air. I have no idea. I'm still stumbling at the microphone. Hey, this is Chuck, and you're listening to Technology Today here at Life Improvement Radio. And in the studios today, I've got, what's your name? and so it went that, and it was easy for me to talk shop about computers because it's something I've done for 20 something years. And I was, and I'll be honest with you, towards the end of it, I was getting bored with it. I got to where it wasn't fun no more. And when the clients, you tell the clients what they do, and then the clients start telling you what you need to do and how you're going to spend your hard-earned money on their stuff. Nah, I got out of it.
Yeah. Well, plus when you've been so touched, it creates this driving force. You don't really know why you do stuff. It's like, I mean, it's like the same with me. I don't know really why I do it. I just call Chuck and say, can we do this?
I remember
we do this.
I remember the conversation that me and you had, and I believe it was in 2016, and we were at Chili's.
Oh, I remember
that we come to meet, and you had a partner with you at that time. And I was scratching my head about that because he was wanting you to go out and buy all this big equipment and everything else. And I said, why don't we start with a shoestring budget? And you did. And that shoestring budget still running today, is it not?
It is, yeah. And I'm still on that shoestring budget, but
well, as I've got a studio in Cleveland, Tennessee, it's at the Family Worship Center. And I got a TV studio in Lafayette with Pastor Rick Talent that used to be in Beaumont, Texas. And he has worked in radio, traditional radio and TV. He used to work for TBN. And so all the people that God has put me with up here has expanded my ministry. And if it's in Southern gospel music and people singing, I know just about every one of them out there. And so I had stepped away. I got injured in 2020. And I had to step away. And so I'm the man behind the scenes. And that's what a lot of people said. And that's just like what you were talking about a while ago. Well, I'm back. And we've got a concert here that we're doing at 8 o'clock with a pastor out of Atlanta. And my thing is that this is sweat, tears, and prayers, and Jesus watching over you to make sure that you do everything correctly. Because see, if I mess up, it's not my name, it's his name.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure that I do what my boss tells me to do. I've looked, Cece, this has been an adventure of a lifetime. And I have, let me tell you something. I have had so many downfalls along this walk of life that it's been unreal. I've almost lost my wife 3 times to sepsis. And people, if you think that you have a urinary tract infection, you're not feeling right, get to the hospital. Sepsis is a killer. It's probably more of a killer than COVID is, because once you don't, and it's not just women, it's guys. I worked at Northside Hospital. I seen this guy check in one time. He said, I'm not feeling good. And he said, I've not been feeling good like this. And the doctor ran tests. They come in and drawed his blood. And 35 minutes later, they come back and he was gone. And so make sure, get tested. If you don't feel right, go to the doctor, have a test done. That poison in your blood is going to shut down. And it's a serious thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with COVID, it really made an awareness of the internet, didn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody is like running to the internet for, you and I have been here hanging out for a while, and people been poo-pooing us being on the internet, and now everybody loves us because
I've had more questions about. See, the thing that a lot of people had on me was I did not use Restream. I did not use Zoom. I did mine. I had a webcam. I came in and I used Facebook and I used YouTube, and I have really interviewed some really nice people along the way. One of my biggest claim to fame is I did an interview with Charlie Daniels months before he passed away.
Wow.
Everybody was coming to me to get that interview. It's out on my YouTube channel at the Chuck Bryant Show Unplugged. And then I did an interview with Lacey J. Dalton, and that was a hoot. I will tell you that. She is such a sweet lady. And I did one with Heidi Pardon, which is Dolly Parton's niece. And just to hear her sing with some of her stuff. And then a lot of people that are in Southern gospel and Christian country, as I've toured the country and going from state to state, because I've been doing that for a long time. But to be able to bring this new station that we're bringing to them, it's going to be a 24-hour gospel station. And it's called Gospel Video Network. And we're going to be bringing the best in Southern gospel, Christian country, contemporary gospel, bluegrass gospel, you name it. It's not hard rock and it's not rap, but it'll be something for everybody to listen to. And we're probably going to have, once we get started, it's not going to be like it was with MTV, start off something we don't even know who they are. We're already in the process of getting videos in from some of the biggest names in gospel music that are out there. And I can't name nobody's name, so we just get that point. But it's amazing how we went from working with you to where we're now touching the world. And you started this all.
Oh, well, that's sweet of you to say, but it was just one show, but inspirational.
Yeah. How many times did I talk to you before I ever did this? Now, we had a lot of meetings together, Cece, before I ever started this.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot. I mean, we've gotten to be really good friends, and, over the years, and, you know so much about, the technology industry that it's amazing.
Well, if you take radio, for the internet radio, has come a long way since 99 when the computers first came out.
Right.
And everybody was with a company called Live 365 way back in the day.
I was on there. Yeah.
And so I had a station. And when I first started WOTG, I was on Live 365. Mm-hmm. And I was paying buku money.
Yeah. They were not cheap. I even got some sort of award with them too. Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Feel good. They give you an award as they're cleaning out your pocket.
And for $200, and then next thing you know, oh, now you're a part of our #1 radio station. And then the next month they go, oh, now we're closing the doors, and you got to find somebody.
Oh yeah, remember that scramble? I remember that, and so we were all freaking out.
Oh my gosh, and so I built the radio to 12 stations, and people said, well, why do you have 12 stations? Well, God touched me and says, I want 12 radio stations for 12 disciples, and the radio stations are the disciples. And if we got one area where nobody's listening and all of a sudden somebody's listening, that means God's touched somebody. But all of our stations are clicking on all wheels, and we may on one station we may have 35 listeners. On one we got 900, and another one we got 400, and another one we got 500, and it just depends. And the flagship is the WOTG radio. Mm-hmm. We got a matter of fact, the radio station that turned out to be the tech station is the tech station now that is the oldie station, which is WTEK. And then
I was on WTEK there for a while.
You were?
Yeah.
You were.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I don't know what ever happened, but you were on there about every week with your show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's amazing how this has come about. And it seems like I hate to say this, but it seems like sometimes I've set the trends of what we're doing now. Everybody was not doing what I was doing when we first started. They was like 12 people. Marty Smith from Heaven's Country, me and him started working together, and we started working with this. Then Brother Gary got with us, and we started working with this. And then Mario Romos got with us. And if you don't think that we've got any females with us, well, let me tell you something. There is Roberta Blevins. There is this lady called Cece that's underneath the radar that's with us too. And she's got a radio station. And we've got female pastors that are with us. Matter of fact, just yesterday, I was down in Fairmount, Georgia at the House of Compassion. I now film preachers preaching. And that's what's putting this network together is hard work with us and our team. We got 158 ministers, groups, everything that is working together with us to carry on the WOTG Media Ministries is what we're called now. And you've got concerts to the left, you've got stations to the right, you got TV stations over here. And you've got a ministry that we're doing. I'm going up tomorrow to film another pastor. And on Friday afternoons on WOTG West at 5:00, we got 6 pastors that come on and preach. And we're fixing to add another church. And we start church on Sunday morning. Now check this out, at 7:00. Mm-hmm. And we go to 1:00. And we got churches all around the country. We even got a biker church.
Chuck, that is so important because COVID showed us that where everybody was going to the internet, people weren't able to go to church, but your type of, stations can keep us there, right? It can keep us plugged in, can keep that connection going and been able to still worship in maybe a different way. It's almost like, remember how we used to have the regular rotary telephone? Yeah. It's like that.
Actually, in that next room over there, we still have one.
Oh, no. I was saying just today that, Harry has probably never even seen one of them. So, but yeah, but it's like you have to move with the changes of life. And you've been able to do that very swiftly.
Cece, there was one book when I was in college. I went to college down in Fort Myers, and I've also went to college up here at Dalton College. I didn't have a chance because my parents, a lot of people don't know, I have a disability. I'm dyslexic. I'm a slow learner. You'd never tell that, but there's a lot of times that I don't, what comes from these and what comes from here is not always what comes on paper or types, because my fingers have their own brain and my mouth has its brain and my other brain, they don't always want to cooperate together. And it's hard. It's really hard to do that. And a lot of people don't know that about me because I hide it. And God told me one time, he says, you don't hide, you let me take care of that.
Right.
And that's the thing.
Chuck, I'm the same way. I'm dyslexic myself.
I didn't know that.
I know people don't know it. I'm not like real strong. I mean, it doesn't, prevent me from doing things, but I have to think before, which is hard for me, right? But to think before I do a lot of things. And if I get excited, oh yeah, things are backwards.
Well, we've been worked both together and said, hey, how do we get out of this room?
Never put us in one of those rooms where you have to get out.
I started with BNI, and people don't realize this, but I used to be in BNI. And way back in the early 2009, I had just moved to St. Pete from Fort Myers. And I got in, somebody found me in the phone book and said, hey, would you like to come to a meeting? And I came to a meeting. They were starting up that, and I got to be the IT guy in that group. And I enjoyed it. I was from 2009 to 2011. And then just like with everything in BNI, there's politics. Mm-hmm. And I made somebody mad. And they wouldn't. And I went all the way up to the big guy. And he said, it's just best that you walk away. He said, you really don't want to start anything. And I told the group, this was right after I got done writing my check, and they forced me out. And then I called an attorney, and I got my $500 back.
Yeah, they're expensive. I was in them too. And they were,
oh my God. And cheap. Then everybody kept telling me that I needed to meet up with this guy. Mm-hmm. So I called him up. We met over at that bagel place over across from Chili's. Mm-hmm. And I met Mark O'Donnell in 2010. And then all the way up for the next 7 years, I was with a group called RGA Network, which I was one of the founders of the second phase of it, not the first phase, but the second phase, because we were all there with that. And there was 4 of us that was there with Mark. And now Mark runs it because I'll be honest with you, I just got tired of doing networking. I got tired of, and there for a long time, I love Chili's. I mean, I love Chili's because of that. And we eat at Chili's up here once in a blue moon. If it's not going to McDonald's, Taco Bell, or something like that, we're always eating out somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I would run to Chili's. I would run to Applebee's, and it was every place that I ate at all the time. And it get creature or habit. I gained 50 pounds in 5 years of eating that. And it's been the hardest to go from 346 pounds down to 270. And with my diabetes, because I just ate out all the time, that's what I did. Yeah. You're on the road, and I was working in Fort Myers. I was working in Miami. I was working in Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Daytona. Matter of fact, that van I've got still parked up here in the driveway. I got to have some work done to her. But, the things that we have done in the past to get to where we're at today. And a matter of fact, Cece, look where you came from.
I know.
You came from working on somebody else's network, and they come up and they just shut you down. Mm-hmm. And then you go to somebody else's network and they shut you down. And then the day that me and you sat down and I said, Cece, I really think that you need to start your own thing. And you were like, I don't know how. and the greatest book that you could ever get in life besides the Bible, it's a book put out by Spencer Johnson, and it's called Who Moved My Cheese.
That is a good book.
You can watch it on there, but it has a story. If you don't change, and if you don't get to the point to where you don't change, your cheese is going to get old. And if you don't keep up with the times, everybody says, they was just somebody's telling me the other day, they said, I can't, he says, one of the greatest things I like about you, Chuck, is you're always upgrading. And I'm fixing to take $17,000 and I'm fixing to upgrade to our TV station that if you're on Roku, it's going to look like Weather Now. It's going to look like you're watching Grit TV or anything else like that.
Mm-hmm.
These guys have put an investment out there. I'm putting an investment. And like I told my wife, I can always sell it if it don't work out.
Yeah.
But I do believe that, like I said, with this new software right over here, I'm a computer technician. I've been watching the grids on how things work and everything else. And Cece, it was a privilege to be with you tonight on your program.
Oh, thank you. It's very, very sweet of you to say. It amazes me because I really do feel that, God has a hand in it, and he's in the driving seat, and we just have to kind of, get in the car and just go along with him, because there's no, sometimes I sit back and I think about it, like, how on earth did I get doing what I'm doing, and and where I am and where I'm going and that kind of thing. And it's like, you hear this little whisper that you need to do something. And so often we question that, when it's really, we're being guided to follow our dreams.
The one thing that we need to do is that voice that you're hearing,
Mm-hmm.
is it God? Because I'm going to tell you right now, in this day and time, you need to have Jesus in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what church you go to, whether you're a Catholic, Baptist, Presbyterian, Church of God, Assemblies of God, you name it. There's a church on every street corner. Just go to one. And one of the biggest things is, one of my favorite pastors is John Hagee. And John Hagee, ask and you shall receive. Ask and you shall receive. And the Lord is waiting on you to ask. Unless you know him and you know his presence and you know the being with Christ. Let me tell you something. One of the greatest walks in my life right now is being with him. And if it wouldn't have been for me being who I was, and pastor is a name. That's all it is. Pastor is a name. And it's amazing what this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And in our ministry, we have 158 different groups from around the world in the United States. And at one church that you may listen to, I've had people tell me, tear it down, do away with it. You're keeping people away from church. Sunday, I have over 500 people watch us, listen to us. And it's not just on Roku TV. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just on any app that's out there, because I'm going to tell you right, I've heard people tell me they seen our broadcast somewhere and I'm not even registered there.
Mm-hmm.
And on our website. So if you're interested in our website, can I say that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Our website is WOTG Radio Network. Hey, check that out. And she already had, that's already
pretty fancy.
She throwing these things up here left and right. Now I gotta be careful here. I'll be talking like I don't know where I'm coming from, if you know what I mean. But anyway, WOTG Radio Network, that's the home of WOTG, and our TV station is WOTGTV.com. And you'll find us there at Branson Gospel TV. A lot of our members that are there are from Branson. And the people that are here on our TV stations, half of our pastors are from here. We tried to build a local community for local churches. And one of the greatest things that I've got, Cece, is I got a biker church.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, no, I don't want you running a biker church around here. Don't want it. Don't want it. Let me tell you something. Pastors that get out there and listen to the gospel, preach the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
And when my wife can get touched by a biker wearing a big leather vest and looks like a mean guy,
Mm-hmm.
it's got the heart of a gold.
Right.
And to me, if you work with me and you know me, I I don't have friends. I have family. And my family has become these pastors because I don't have many friends up here. I got family. And my family, when your family's nowhere around, your church family's always around.
Mm-hmm.
I just happen to have a big church family, all around the world. If I went to Wiley, Texas, and I sit at the back of the church, I'm gonna be up at the bullpit. That's just the way it is. If I go somewhere in Branson or if I go somewhere in Missouri, I'm gonna be up at the front. And that's the one thing of having the problems that we have is that. And again, Cece, um, it's been great to be on your program.
It's great having you. It's just amazing how far we've come, and it's exciting for all the new things that are going to happen, because I'm just now branching out, going into there's like two other networks that we're launching, and then there's the Amazon TV and the Roku station. I'm just thrilled that it's going so far. It just keeps growing and growing. And it's
And,
amazing.
and
And you're right, because even though you may think there's only a couple listeners here and there, all the other platforms, there's accumulation of millions.
I hear from some of these other networks that are out there, and they'll say, "Uh, well, I've got 100,050 people listening to my program." Okay, I see how many listens to mine. I get the numbers. I know how many listen, and and mine's all Christian based. I don't. Everything that we do is Christian based, and we may be running some old stuff on our network,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still got a Christ message. We've got the stuff coming out of Texas. We've got one of the biggest programs that we run, and we've been running it for 5-6 years, is Gospel Music Today. I was just on the stuff with Ken Grady today, asking him about this program, and you're constantly having to grow. And with you, look at you. You went from a radio program and let's say we've hit some dead ends. I'll be honest, we hit some dead ends, and we're backing up like you're backing up a dump truck. Got that little beeper on, beep beep beep. And where are we going to go? How are we going to get here? And there's been some times, I'll be honest with you, I want to shut this thing down and walk away from it. But
It's a lot of work. I mean, I don't think people realize the time and energy that we put in behind things. Just the creative part of it takes hours. And then you've got all of the programming, but you've made it easy for me.
Well,
bless your heart. Yeah.
I want to say this in closing.
Mm-hmm.
This TV station that you're on right now, this program that you're on right now, it costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Realize that it costs money. And Cece runs an organization that she's bringing you content with other artists, other counselors, everything out there. And we need to open our pockets, and we need to send donations to this company, because just like at WOTG TV and WOTG Radio, if it wasn't for the donors donating money, I could not do what I do. And so tonight, I want you to think about it if you're watching this program, and ask God, or ask your inner self, what can I do to make this program better? How can I put that second candle on the left side or the right side of CC and make it something?
Mm-hmm.
We pay a lot of money for internet. We pay a lot of money for programming. This is not cheap, people. It's not. And get out your checkbook, write a check, send it to PayPal. She's got links on her website, I know, and donate. Help the cause. Because listen, you could be a person right now that's at your end wits. You're going through a divorce. You're going through a relationship. You're going through something, and you need to be able to touch somebody, Cece's there for you. Her counselors are always there for you. It's a phone call away. Help donate into this ministry. If I did anything tonight, I showed you what this built. But this program right here, I remember a meeting at Chili's in 2016 when it was nothing. And I know where it's at today because I was on the ground floor. I was there. Just as Cece was on the ground floor when we started WOTG.
Yeah. It's come a long ways. You've really, you're rocking it. It's very good. And, you do the music, gospel music. Now you're getting into the churches. You're doing live TV. You're doing some of those things and video too. And,
matter of fact, this weekend we're doing one of the people that works with us is Brother Gary Keith, and he's doing Standout Shout Out, and we're doing a gospel concert this weekend to help raise money for Ukraine. And the money that we're raising is going over to Billy Graham and stuff. Well, Cece.
Yeah, I know you've got another show. So
listen, I hate to do this. I would love to talk to you all night. You're one of my very.
Don't tell Donna.
Donna.
She'd say, they're just talking tech stuff.
Donna knows that we go way back, and I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah. I remember the night that we were in a studio in Palm Harbor. And then the next time that we did one, and everybody says, don't work with Cece. Don't work with Cece. And I've said this, and you know this. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something. It's been a friendship. You're like a sister to me, that you remind me so much of my sister. And we've been there sometimes, and we've had to cry on each other's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And that's what friends are for.
Yeah.
Hey, that reminds me of a song. That's what friends are for.
You do more for me than I think I do for you, but I'm always saying, what do we do? What do we do? How do we fix this?
There you go. Well, guys, it's been great to be here with you. I've got a pastor that's in the next room that we're fixing to get. And if you'd like to watch our program, you can catch us on WOTG TV.
Or you TV? I should have put that one up.
WOTGTV.com. Okay. And you can catch us on the Chuck Bryant Show Unplugged on YouTube and on Facebook. Until then, Cece, you stay sweet.
It's great having you. It's great having you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's right here. It says, have a great time.
I'll let you sign off. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wow, everyone. What a show. What a show that is. I mean, Pastor Bryant is just absolutely terrific and helps many, many, many people as he's building his network. And you can see that and what we heard is that he's growing it from not just one little station that he had. He's growing it to numerous stations. And he's broadened out now to the video and doing the TV too. And not only does he work on his stuff, but he supports other people such as myself to be able to move forward. So again, your guys are listening to the One's Reflection with Pastor Chuck Bryant. He had to bug off and go to a live broadcast that he has. And this is a new show, and it's called Going Solo in My Faith. And it's on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcasts. We are the #1 internet singles talk network, and we are starting a new platform, which is the Going Solo TV. You're going to find us on Amazon TV and on Roku here shortly. I hope that you will tune in. We are going to be broadening it to both of the Going Solo TV. We're going to have also, and I'm very happy to say it's in the works, but we're going to be doing the Going Bold TV, and we're also going to have Everyday Life TV, and that is going to be very exciting to be able to bring various different genres to you for various different types of shows. And so we hope that you'll enjoy those. And of course, behind me and behind the scenes is Chuck Bryant, making sure that all the technical stuff is working, that we're doing a good job with it. And so we take his advisement as much as possible. So I hope you enjoyed it. I am Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of Relationship Building, and I'll catch you back next time. Bye for now.